This is the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." Verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai. Yahweh is the name who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahushai is his son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who grew well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And citation to the Akim out there pushing this truth of sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai's sake. I'm Brother Samak from the GMS Miami Camp. And yes, the reason why I brought out the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 3 through 4, is that I came across this article today where the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reported how global peacekeeping deployments have declined dramatically, okay? And this just proves that, these Edomites, these so-called white people, all right, they're the ones that took peace from the earth, as the scriptures say they would, okay? All right? So as long as these so-called white people, which are the biblical Edomites, stay in power, all right, there'll never be peace on earth, okay? There'll always be war, okay? Which proves that the people in the Holy Land cannot be the chosen people, all right? See, that's another thing. See, if the people in the Holy Land, all right, were the chosen people, all right, there'll be no wars, okay? There'll be no conflicts, all right? However, all you see is war and conflict, which just confirms that they're not the chosen people, all right? Because the scriptures say in Isaiah that when the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, they make up the majority of it. And then you have what's known as the Israelite foreigners, all right? Because the scriptures say our heritage is as a speckled bird, all right? You're going to have Israelites that are going to look like so-called white people, so-called, East Indian, Arab, okay, so on and so forth, because again, the scriptures say that the Israelites were scattered, right, throughout the earth, all right? So, of course, when the deliverance happens, all right, we're all going to change, all right, into our new immortal bodies, all right? That's what we're hoping for. That's what we, all right, have been preparing for in our minds, that the Lord will deliver us and change us from these vile bodies, right? And when we return to the Holy Land, all right, by Yahushai, let's make that, okay, a key point. By the Messiah, Yahushai, who the word inly calls Jesus, because he's going to be the one to deliver the Israelites wherever they're scattered at, okay? And the biggest deliverance is going to be from America, Babylon the Great. So when this happens and Yahushua brings the children of Israel, wherever they be scattered at, okay, back to the homeland, all right, then there will be peace on earth. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. All right, this is a future prophecy. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, right, that's talking about the 12 tribes, all right? The 12 tribes. That's why James said what? This is James 1 and 1, all right? This is Yahushua's brother. Notice, okay, in the first sentence, not now, because, and the reason why I'm talking like this, because you got these so-called scholars and they're not. They're what's it called? Literally wolves in sheep's clothing, Genesis, right? Talking about these heathens can be saved. No, they can't, all right? Or else why did James write this? This is James chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Okay? So, did y'all forget this? This is milk scripture. This scripture always stays in my mind, okay, since I found out I was an Israelite, because it makes logical sense, okay? If you want to use these big words, logical sense, right? Because this is a letter. James is writing a letter. This is James, Yahushai's brother, is writing a letter. All right, when you write a letter, you got to address it. Okay, you see how you could clearly see that. All right, these Genesis individuals don't have it. When you write a letter, okay, at the top of the letter, okay, you have to address who you're writing to. Okay, so it's clearly evident that James, okay, is writing to his people, okay, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, not the heathens. And scattered. Let's go to scattered, all right, which is diaspora or diaspora, depending on how you pronounce it, all right. A scattering, a dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations. That's it, okay, all right. And that is the breakdown. So now, right now we're scattered in foreign nations, as the prophets say we would. Okay, and we're waiting on Yahweh Shai, who inly calls Jesus, all right, to bring us back to the Holy Land. Okay, then there will be peace. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. You notice there's no heathens there? I don't see any heathens. I don't see Edom or Ammon or, okay, Moab, okay, or Ishmael in there too. And it shall come to pass in the last days, are we not in the last days? That the mountains of the Lord's house, mountains represents government, shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow onto it. And this is a clue. Okay, not all nations are flowing onto the Holy Land, which proves, okay, those people over there are not the chosen people. Okay, they're imposters. 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain. Again, mountain represents government. That's why, what is it? It's in one of the 4 books of the gospel. Yahushai is titled governor, right? Governor. Okay, hold on. What is it? Is it Matthew 2? The Wadi Bashim Yashai for allowing me to have a memory, because, man, that's why I cut back on drinking. I stopped that drinking because, bro, that messes up with your memory. But the Wadi Bashim Yashai, Matthew chapter 2, verse 6, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor, okay, that shall rule my people Israel. That's it. Okay, Yahweh Shai is that governor. Okay, what does a governor do? Okay, to lead. Okay, to rule. Right, Yahweh Shai is going to be the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Command, to have authority over. A prince, a regal power. Right. All right, the kingdom of heaven is a regal power. All right, governor, viceroy, chief, leading as respects and influence, controlling and counsel, overseers, or leaders of the churches. Use of any kind of leader, chief, commander. Okay, there you go. All right. This is what we're waiting on. We're waiting on Yahweh Shai to establish the kingdom of heaven. All right, with his people, which hit the kingdom of heaven is the Israelites. Okay, that's why it says in the book of John, I believe, where it says the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, right? That's the kingdom of heaven. It ain't got nothing to do with these heathens. Lessons within lessons. Kingdom of heaven suffereth. Look at that. I brought this out so many times. suffereth. Kingdom of heaven suffereth violently. Violently. Oh, come on. Kingdom of heaven suffereth. Let me just do suffereth, because it's clearly evident that they didn't. Matthew. So it's not John, it's Matthew, excuse me. Matthew chapter 11, verse 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. Right? So clearly the kingdom of heaven, all right, is talking about the Israelites. Okay? All right? Because who was, all right, committing violence to the Israelites? All right? The Romans, right? At this time. So let's go back. So now we know who the kingdom of heaven is. All right. And Yahweh Shai is going to save his people. All right. To establish the kingdom of heaven for his people, because they are the kingdom of heaven. All right. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, because Yahweh Shai is the governor. He's going to, set up a regal power, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Now, is that happening now? No. 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. You see? All right? And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks, and nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Is that happening now? No. Okay? And by looking at this article, it confirms. All right? The UN peacekeepers are supposed to stop conflicts. Okay? Keep the peace, right? That's what they're... Keep the peace, especially when it comes to the civilians. All right? There's a big decline, which goes to show you that, all right, it's going to take Yahweh Shai, who the Indian calls Jesus, all right, to bring the peace, all right, on earth after he judges. Okay? And these Edomites, these so-called white people, they have to be removed from power. Okay? They have to be removed from power, and they're going to be. All right? So, yeah. Let me also bring this out, and I'll close out. 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest the part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, right? When you see articles like this, you're supposed to measure the time, like, yo, okay, the prophecies are speaking. All right? Prophecies being fulfilled. Okay? It's clearly evident that the wars are going to get a whole lot bigger, all right, because that has to happen for Yahweh Shai to return, okay? And it has to happen so that what? All right? So that World War III ends in nuclear war. And that's what we're waiting on. 2. Then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Yup. 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, uproars of the people in the world, you clearly see it, uproars of the people in the world. All right, it says it right here in this article. It says, if things continue in this way, we could see a dramatic weakening of multilateral conflict management and the near complete sidelining of institutions like the United Nations due to perfect storm of funding, political and geopolitical factors, right? And the biggest funder of the United Nations is America, Babylon the Great, all right? And they're cutting back on the funding because, again, America is ran by the Edomites, all right? And they thrive off of war, not off peace. All right? These so-called white people, they love war. They need war to keep their economies going. The result is likely to be more conflicts with even graver impacts on civilians, right? And civilians always die in war, okay? They always get the brunt end of the stick, okay? So, yeah, that proves that, hey, uproars of the people. Okay, that's what you're seeing. And of course, earthquakes. There's earthquakes everywhere. Let's just earthquake, right? Just put that in there. May 23rd, earthquake in Hawaii. May 25th, earthquake in Chile. May 23rd, Southeast Indian Ridge, Alaska. There you go. Okay? Indonesia. Japan. Los Aguajes, Peru. So there you go. Okay? Earthquakes. So the prophecies are speaking. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, right, via the prophets, who are Israelites. 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Yup. 6, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. 7, and everyone that shall be saved, and the only ones that can be saved are Israelites, okay, of the elect, and shall be able to escape by his works, right? So you got to be, all right, pushing his word out, all right? You got to be serving the Lord in truth. Now, of course, not everybody is a prophet. However, what are you doing, okay, to show the Lord that you want to be saved? You want to be delivered, okay? It says by his works, okay? And that's including women too. And by faith. So faith, okay? Faith it plays a major part in salvation, not the law, not the commandments, okay? IUIC, whereby ye have believed. 8, whereby ye have believed, right? All right, because all this starts with belief. 8, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, right? Shall be preserved from the said perils. So perils is coming. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And shall see my salvation in my land. All right. Salvation in my land. Why? The Holy Land, where the rats are dwelling at right now. And within my borders. For I've sanctified, meaning holy, sanctified them for me from the beginning. Right. Because at the end of the day, this was all predestinated. This was all predestinated. Okay. That's why when the scriptures talk about foreknew, you know, all right, meaning predestinated from the beginning. So you can't make yourself an elect. The Lord has to make you an elect. All right. That's why you're supposed to fear the Lord. All right, because we don't know if we're part of the elect until we're up in the chariot. However, we have hope. All right. When hope goes to what? Expectation. If we continue to do what we're doing, pushing the word, being honest in truth and sincerity with integrity, by pushing this word, right? How we treat our fellow brothers, okay, in this truth, okay. Then salvation will be to you when the time comes from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, because those are the requirements. So yeah, Lord willing, this was edifying. You know, just lessons within lessons, as the apostle elders always say. But yeah, this proves that peace was taken from the earth by these Edomites, these so-called white people. And there will be no peace until they're removed. All right, which also confirms that the people in the Holy Land can't be the chosen people, because when the chosen people come, there will be no more war when they are in that land, right? And the chosen people consist of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners that are scattered among the nations that even, okay, may look like the other nations, because again, we were scattered. All right? That's why James wrote what he wrote. Okay? So, Lord willing, let us edify. I want to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Mokak. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who ruled well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai's sake. Love you, brothers. Keep enduring, keep the faith, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep studying. Pray without ceasing. Pray for each other. Pray for the apostle elders. We're almost out of here. To the few sisters that are watching, keep studying. When you pray at your head cover. Keep pushing, man. We're almost out of here. Shalom.